I think. But good evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Hope you had a great weekend. And the weather kind of picked up a wee bit this morning here, then it started raining. But so tonight we are back with this lovely couple all the way, and I'm going to get this right because I usually do. Wait to introduce you, then you wave.
Oh, I'm so sorry, boss.
I introduce you, then you wave. Okay, how many times have you done this? Seriously.
Keep you on your toes, boss.
Right. We have Kat and Will Armstrong all the way from Idaho.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Iowa.
Well, Scott, how many times have we done this?
I know, and I still get it right, don't I? Now you can, so they are also called Paranormal Exposures. Now you can wave. Go on.
Oh. Idaho is known for potatoes. Iowa is known for corn. That's a better way to remember it.
Aye, because I'm going to remember that, isn't I?
No, probably no.
No, because he's going to get confused with Irish potatoes.
Aye, probably.
I don't know. I don't know why I get the two of them. I mean, they're kind of similar but different.
Not even close.
They're similar. Idaho, Iowa. They start with an I, and there's an H in it.
I mean, that's the only thing that's the same. They start with an I.
There you go. That's what they found us. Hello, wee kid. Just because he's 6'5" or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Don't slag up all his height, Craig. I think I'm actually taller than him. But as you can tell by William's accent, he's actually Scottish.
Aye,
he used to just kind of live round the corner for me. But we weren't aware of each other then.
Aye, Van Pollock. Aye.
Aye, Sonny Pollack.
Aye, that was like a lifetime ago almost now.
That's what I've been in Kilmarnock for about 10 years now.
Aye.
10 years I've been in Kilmarnock for. And Glasgow seems long.
Aye, it's like away in the distance somewhere, you know.
And it's what, foreign country to you now?
I guess the last time I was through was 2022, right? When we went through.
Yeah.
And when I go back through and we spent like a week there, like seeing some of the places that I used to remember that were either changed or, you know, they're gone now, you know?
Aye.
I was like, wow. It's like, I felt, you know, it's like that Ian Patterson novel, that Rab C one, you know, that's called I'm a Stranger Here Myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's what I felt.
Aye, Glasgow's totally, I mean, we go to Glasgow every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you, born and bred there, but it's even the city centre's a nightmare now.
Are they not tearing up, are they not doing construction work on one of the main streets now? They're rechanging it all?
I don't know, we've not been in, we were going to go to the Christmas market last year, I know that.
Right.
So it was, I don't know, middle of last year or something, since we were up in Glasgow, but it's just not the same. I watch a lot of these videos in TikTok, you know, Glasgow, how it used to be in the 70s and 80s and stuff. When I was a kid, I can emphasise that when I was a kid, the 70s and 80s, Cat. I'm emphasising that one. And,
well, you remember back in the day when you go up to the back of the city centre and you'd hit the Paddy's Market before you hit the Barras, you know?
I saw one, hey Laura Doll, I saw a TikTok the other day about the Glasgow Apollo.
Aye.
Cat might not know what that was.
I don't think so.
But you used to get a lot of bands playing live there. I'm sure like in the 70s, I'm sure AC/DC was there when they were just starting out at the Apollo. Aye,
I went to see AC/DC in the Apollo and Marillion, Meatloaf, Iron Maiden, Status Quo.
Aye,
I went to see Cat, the Apollo was a concert venue in Glasgow.
Okay.
And it was kind of the one venue that the bands all says that they love coming to, they love playing. And everybody from Glasgow went to the Apollo one time or another to see somebody. Marillion as well, see Marillion.
I think I remember my old man telling me they went there a few times or not.
And I must be older than you then if I went to the concerts and you never.
No, I remember I remember my old man telling me a few times he went there and when you're digging into the bands, like when AC/DC were first starting out and they had Bon Scott as the lead singer, you know, they play at the Apollo whenever they were in Glasgow.
Oh no, it was the place I seen. I went one year to see Meatloaf, and It was 1983. It was Meatloaf's World Tour, 1983, and we were standing just in the wee side. There was a wee side street where the stage door was, and we saw these roadies all arguing, and one guy was giving it pelters to the rest of them. Then we realised it was Meatloaf.
I mean, that would surprise me.
So while you were watching Meatloaf, William would have been in diapers.
Aye.
What you trying to say, Kat? I'm going to Glasgow. I have family in Cambus Lang area. Cambus Lang, nah. Be offence, but you know, better happy Pollock. Better breed of people, Puffy Paul. Anyway, guys, what have you been up to?
Well, I mean, I think since November was our last thing, right?
We haven't done an investigation since November because it's cold. I still do check-ins at Edinburgh Manor because people still go in the cold, which usually is people that have never been and don't understand how cold it gets here. But they schedule for summer the next time they come because they realize how cold January is. We haven't really done a whole lot.
Is there no heat? Is there no heat?
No, it's just an old building. It just hangs out there. No heat, no air conditioning.
Yeah, you go during the coldest of winter time, man. You got to wrap up.
All right, I thought it was. So you suddenly been doing well. This was a waste of time, man. If you suddenly been
the little back house, the back has heat and power and all that kind of thing. So you know, you spend a bit of time in the building, then you go back to the back house to heat up, and then go back into the building. You know.
Right. So we're the same. We've not done it because, as you know, Sarah and I get married in Halloween last year, and we've really not done it because I mean, you're saying about the cold cat. It's been freezing here. I mean, we've got -7, -8. I don't know what kind of temperatures you guys get out there.
Colder.
Obviously, it'll be colder. You know, America, everything's bigger and colder and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and Edinburgh Manor's really out there, so I mean, it's dude. When it gets cold in that bottle, like it gets cold, that traps the cold in there.
Well, we were at Loudon, no last week, but the week before. We went on Thursday. Craig was there, I was there, right? Spig was there, Spig. And up to about 9 o'clock, it was okay, temperature-wise, but after about 9 o'clock, the temperature just plummeted, and I think we lasted till just after 10, back at 10. And I thought, no, do you know what? We need, because my right foot was numb and my left foot was roasting. I know that doesn't make much sense, but it's me.
Well, I know we like Edinburgh, if it's like negative something outside, that building's going to be twice as cold. So, I mean, you're in there for maybe an hour, a little bit less than an hour, and you're like, nope, I need to go heat up, and it takes it out you because the more you're spending time in there and you're dealing with that cold, the more it just drains you,
Aye, and it's a shame because you want to. I mean, that was your first investigation this year. Well, our first since, don't know, since before the wedding anyway. I know that. And you want to do it, but you think it's too cold.
Aye.
Yeah.
And you've got to think of the effect of the cold on your equipment as well,
Spig was using we just use like the Rempod K2, stuff like that. Spig, he rigging on his toys and whistles all out. But no, it's a shame because you want to get, and I've not heard of a lot of folk out here doing something. There's quite a few been doing indoor events.
Yeah.
Heated and all the rest of it. But, our
last event was the Lennox College, right? Aye.
Yeah, so we help at several events this year. Last year in October, we got to help out at a historical society location, which is called Lennox College, and it's in a county about an hour north of where we live. And they don't do investigations. They don't rent it out for people to investigate. But as a fundraiser, they had us come in and lead an event and let public come in and investigate 4 of the buildings with us. and everything for all of the funds that were raised from that went to restoration and upkeep of property. But it's a old college. The college shut down in the 1940s, and then it was used for a lot of different purposes until it's a museum now. In most of the buildings, they have displays of everything related to the county. And it's really interesting because it's not a place that's had a lot of people in. So the fact that we're getting interactions and we're getting activity and they are using equipment, it's really awesome to see and to be able to share that with people. I know that we get to do that again this year. We don't have a date set for it yet, but we'll be out there again at that same place this year again as a fundraiser for the Historical Society. So that's kind of awesome.
It's good that the money goes towards the building.
Yeah, absolutely.
Restoration, the upkeep. There's a lot. No doubt you've got them out there, but there's a lot of folk out here that they'll hire out a place and it's maybe, like £40 a head, say. And I mean, there's one place, I know I can't remember the name of it, but it was Bannockburn House. It was like £300 for the night, to investigate. But that one particular group, who shall remain nameless, they were charging like £60 a head.
Right.
And they were getting like 30 people going.
Right.
My maths is crap, but do the math.
Right.
Where's the rest of the money going?
Yeah, we don't want to profit off of things like that. I'd rather be able to get to go back and see the building again. And if they don't have money coming in enough amounts to upkeep the building, I mean, these buildings are old brick buildings with old windows, and I want to see them standing forever. So I would go back a billion times and say, we don't want anything. We just love the opportunity to be there and be a part of helping out. So,
and it's an interesting little place because you have 4 buildings came over around, and each building is beautifully set up. It represents what it was used for at the time. So you have artifacts just everywhere, and it's like taking a little step back in time when you visit each building.
I love it. There's my wife, and I need to call her because last week I had Mark Egerton on, and I says, there's the missus in. And she gave me any bother after the show. She gave me any trouble after the show.
And I think the buildings are the first, but predates the Civil War.
Yeah, so the buildings are are as old or close to as old as the Civil War timeline. And they'd actually I think it's in June, first weekend of June, they do Civil War reenactments on campus at the place that we do the public events at. So
there's a memorial that's erected and kind of like in the middle, like where the buildings are, for a number of the teachers and guys, for classes who signed up to go to fight on the side of the Union, and a lot of them never came back. So they had this.
No, you are.
Yeah, but so they nice little memorial to them all their names who went away and all who never came back.
Aye, they're no forgotten.
Aye.
This is just a group of guys going to fight a war, and time's forgotten about them because they need to be remembered. Do you know what I mean? Because they gave their lives for whatever cause they believed in at the time, whatever they were fighting for, and it was important enough to them to risk and gear up their lives for. But I think it's great when you get in a location and it's got all the wee bits and pieces dating back. We did, I think it was 2 years ago, nearly 2 years ago, the unveiling of the walls so at Hunterston Castle, down the west coast. And so we covered it for the walls, Society of William Wallace. But we went down about a week before just to get an idea of the place. And I was lucky enough to get a wee private tour of the actual castle itself. And it was an amazing place, but they've got all these artifacts, swords, and all the bits and pieces, furniture that dates back to the 15, 1600s.
Awesome.
And you look at these things, the same as you guys, you look at these things, you think, even like something simple like a chair.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people have sat in that chair?
Yeah.
What were they doing? Who made it?
That's like the one building in the Linux College that has so many Civil War artifacts, and in one glass case they have it's a musket and the attached bayonet that they be used. And you think to yourself, when you're looking at it, you're like, that's been used on a battlefield somewhere or various battlefields. Did that come home with its owner? Did the owner no come home? Did that musket pass several hands before it ended up somewhere else, before it ended up eventually at the college,
There's a whole list of questions. Here a question for you. Do you think these objects all hold, energy and attachment, whatever you want to call it?
You want me to answer that?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that
was a bit direct, David. Do you want me to answer that?
Go, John Wayne.
I think that both of those are a possibility. I think that when we talk about haunted objects, a lot of people get confused and assume that if there's energy at all, that it's got somebody or some being attached to it. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. But all of these objects and items have been handled and held and energetically imprinted on by the people that have used them. So while it may not be a haunted object, it still carries the energy of the lifetime and cycle that it has gone through. So it may or may not be something that you can really investigate to that depth, but there is still energy that someone has invested into that item. So,
And if you look at other items, I always think of objects like something that's important to the family, that's passed down from generation to generation to generation. Especially in different cultures, if you look at that, they treasure some of these items, So I agree with what Kat's saying there. That could be with that as well as it's passed down to each generational.
Aye. Or saying what imprint of themselves have they left by holding that sword or sitting in that chair? I put a crazy comment, I'll say it on you saying, but no, I know what you mean, because the reason I asked is Spig, they've got a location in Glasgow, right? And it's an old school, it dates back to the 1800s. It's still a working building.
Right.
And they've investigated a few times, and we've been lucky enough to get in 2 or 3 times with them. But there's one particular cabinet in one of the corridors. It's a big display kind of case thing, glass thing. And there's kind of badges and old school hats and medals and stuff in this. And whenever we put the K2 on it, the K2 goes nuts. Now, one of the guys we speak, he works there, he's worked in the building for over 20 years, and he says there's no electrical wiring in the wall beside this cab. There's nothing. You take the K2 off and it instantly goes dead. We're trying to be 2 or 3 different K2s, just to make sure it was the faulty one. And every time you put the K2 on it, this particular cabinet, it goes right up to red, and it keeps going and going. It doesn't just flash red, then stop. It keeps going and going and going.
Is it doing it with certain items in the cabinet, or is it just, There'll
be it's items like old school hat, medals, badges. So I dare say that they belong to, people who maybe have passed away. Because some of them do date back quite, back to the early 1900s. So there's a good chance whoever won them or wore them is no longer with us. But I just found it we all found it really, really weird. And so David, the guy that works, he says, I can't explain that. And we put the K2 on the wall and everything. And
I try to find at least a debunkable source that you can say, okay, well, I'm picking up something here,
We say there's nothing. But I say as soon as you put it on this cabinet, bang, it just goes nuts, and it keeps going until you take it back off again. So that's how I was asking about the objects and stuff, because we found that weird. So I was wanting your kind of opinion on it. Craig saying it's like worn stone steps in a castle. How many feet have gone up and down? That's right.
Yeah.
You don't know how many people will traverse these steps.
I mean, a prime example out here, I would say, is the Tower of London.
But aye.
Yeah.
I've been in the Tower 3 times. I've done the Tower of London. and you see the steps are dented,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
you think, well, I mean, the Tower of London dates back to the 11th century. You know, the initial White Tower
Yep.
was
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
and then been added on. I know it's quite famous with Tudor times. You think, well, how many people walked up and doing these steps?
Got to believe hundreds of people. You know.
You know, you think maybe Anne Boleyn, Henry, maybe one point or I just find a lot of my folk before might find it boring, but I think it's fascinating.
I agree.
Yeah, those little bits and pieces are fascinating because then you think of the hows and the whys and the wheres. You know.
Aye. It's like Hampton Court Palace. You get into the Great Hall in Hampton Court Palace, and that was kind of the main meeting place in the palace. And you know, that's where Henry held all his parties, his banquets, big meetings. And you stand in there and you're looking about, you think, Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, they all dined here and partied here and sat here basically. And you're standing in the same. All right, it's been restored
Yeah.
quite a wee bit, you know, down through the centuries, but it's the same initial building. And you look up, you can still see the Tudor roses with the
Mhm.
H and the B in it for Henry and Anne kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were put there in the 1500s.
Yep, and centuries later, now you still in their place. You know.
I am still here looking at them, you
Mhm.
know, and it was Henry that ordered that they be put up there. I mean, it's truly fascinating. Something else I'd like to ask you. Now, I'm sure you do tarot cards. Kat, is that right?
Yes, I do.
You do. Now, I know TikToks was a big thing in the US and there was a big controversy. And I don't know what's happened to it now. They get banned. I don't know what happened to it actually. But I was talking to Mark Egerton last week about this, I know. And there's out here, there seems to be a sudden upsurge in gifted tarot readers. You know, all these people are popping up on TikTok, and all of a sudden they're doing tarot cards and they've got the gift.
Okay.
You get that out there.
I think it's everywhere. Obviously people that are doing it on TikTok are doing it because they're trying to monetize. The more followers you have, the more people that watch, the more opportunity it is to potentially make an income on your content. Which is why I don't read cards on social media like that. I don't know. A lot of the time I believe the cards are smarter than the people that are using them. Spirit could provide a message without the person that's flipping the cards having any gifts whatsoever. So there's that. I don't call myself a gifted reader. I just am a conduit that provides the message that is intended to be provided to the person that's receiving the message. So
See, it's never something. I mean, I do shows with Tarot Tracy. We do shows on the Tudors, but she does tarot reading as well. But I don't know. No offense to anybody uses them, including your lovely self. I'm kind of 50-50 on the cards. You know, I don't know a lot about them.
Right.
You know, some people say that it's just your luck, whatever card gets taken out. Some people say it's spirit, you know, it's a spirit guide that's getting you to, you know, guiding you towards a certain card.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Some people say it's other forces, shall we say, dark forces that are.
I hear that.
You know. So, how exactly do they work?
So tarot basically is a deck of cards. Like you can read with even a regular standard deck of playing cards. I don't know that if you know that or not, but that is like the basis for what the suits of tarot are. Is it's the same as a 4-suit deck of playing cards plus an extra set of cards that are called the major arcana. So there basically is a message per each card. They are pretty standard for most cases, but then you have all these fancy decks and things that you can get nowadays. And there's a basic message for each card. They have, you know, yes and no's that are predetermined on whether the card is going to answer questions yes or no. I mean, you can use them in so many different ways. They tie to the elements, whether it's earth, air, water, fire. I mean, they've got a depth to them that's more than what is just the, you know, picture on the card. A lot of people misinterpret them. So, for example, the most misinterpreted card is the death card. It does not mean somebody's dying. A lot of people misinterpret that. It's basically saying it's the end of something and the beginning of something new. The cards are just what they are. Now, when I'm doing a reading for somebody, I usually focus in on their energy because I want whatever they're needing from the cards to be shuffled into the cards. So when I'm shuffling my cards, the focus is on the person that's getting the reading. And then I make them make the final choice as to, I split the deck in 3. They get to pick what the top of the deck is before they start their reading because they're the final decision maker on what the cards are going to be for them. If I'm doing an in-person reading, if I'm doing a reading in person, I actually do let other people touch and shuffle my cards. That's not something a lot of people do, but I'm like, it's a reading for you with your energy. Why do I not want you to touch my cards? So.
This is a stupid question. I will put my hands up in the minute right away, but who cares? I've watched some of them do it, right? And they'll sit for ages shuffling for half an hour, you know, kind of blah, blah, blah. You think, when do you know when to stop?
For me, it's just an energetic feeling. I have to feel connected to the cards for me to be able to read and interpret the cards. So I shuffle until I feel like the cards are telling me they're ready. It's an energetic exchange. If it's a deck that I haven't used in a while, because I do Oracle and Tarot. So if it's a deck I haven't used in a while, I'm probably going to interact with it more because I want to energetically connect with every single card. I had a deck that I just did for a reading the other day, and I hadn't used it in a long time. I went through and touched and looked at every single card individually just to have an energetic exchange with every single card in that deck before I shuffled it to be able to allow whatever reading was going to happen because I didn't feel the connection because it'd been so long since I had used those cards. It's a feeling. For me, it's a feeling. I can't say that's the same for everybody, but that's what it is for me.
Because some of them just see me going forever and ever before they finally stop. Here's another here's another daft question, right? I'm going to ask you anyway. You know, you've got your Ouija board, right? Pardon me. You've got your Ouija board, which is practically never changed since day one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, it's just you get different colours, you know, what have you, but it's the same thing. But with tarot cards, you see, we've got all these different decks.
Right. So there are some people that believe that there's only one and only true real deck, and that's the Rider-Waite, which is the standard of tarot. But some people don't connect well with that. I actually am kind of 50-50 on that deck because the artwork just doesn't, it's not my favorite. So I have other cards that I have which have different artwork. But as each deck is designed, it is the person that created that deck that determines the meaning of those cards, that determines, you know, the purpose of that deck. So, for example, tarot versus oracle. I don't like to do a lot of oracle decks for readings for people because most oracle decks I say are fluffy or, you know, they're the happy, nice, everything is positive, everything's going to be at this beautiful message of love, joy, excitement, energy, whatever. Most oracle decks are 100% positive cards because they're uplifting and motivational, and that is what a lot of oracle is. And how am I going to give you an accurate reading if there's nothing in there that's going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly? So tarot is a better balance of, you know, light and dark, positive, negative, whereas some of the other decks are literally just made for happy, fluffy messages of joy. And so you kind of have to pick and choose, what is the purpose of the reading? What is it that you're trying to do? If you're pulling a daily card to motivate yourself, then I'm probably going to go to a fluffy, pretty oracle deck that's going to tell me happy messages every day to start my day. If I'm looking for, hey, I have a conflict in my life, how am I supposed to handle this? I'm going to go to a tarot deck because it's going to tell me, yes, this is a problem. No, this isn't a problem. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you're doing this wrong. Maybe this is the focus. It gives you more of a true feel of reality rather than making everything fluffy and positive and loving and kind.
Do you think it's also maybe a way, this is just a question, I'm not saying it is, for, I mean, everybody's said that everybody's got their own spirit guide, guardian angel, whatever you want to call them, that a way for them to communicate with you?
You can absolutely use tarot cards to communicate with your guides. Absolutely. It's just a tool. Tarot cards are just one of many tools or options for communicating. I can use a Ouija board to talk to,
basically.
yeah, I can use a Ouija board to talk to my spirit guides. I can. That's just a fact. I can use a pendulum. I can use, a mirror to be able to talk to my guides. I can use whatever tools. Some people are very psychically gifted. They don't need any tools to talk to their spirit guide. Other people need something to help bring them into a focus point of being able to have those connections. Neither of them is the wrong way.
I was saying to Sarah yesterday or the day before, I was scrolling through, TikTok, and every third or fourth person on TikTok now is reading tarot cards or doing mediumship. And you're thinking,
that's because you're watching them. And TikTok is noticing what type of thing that you're stopping and looking at, and so they're giving you more of those in your feed. That's why you're getting them.
Right, so I don't know how it works. I'm not thick.
That's how it works. TikTok is watching and taking all the data of everything that you're seeing and catering the content that you're getting to the ones that you're watching. So the more you watch the readers on TikTok, the more that you're going to get readers on TikTok.
Right, so if I still watching them, we'll stop it then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, so that's how you get rid of them. Because you get fed up seeing them. Every third or fourth person's psychic, overnight they've turned into a medium, went to bed on a Monday night, woke up on Tuesday and they're a psychic.
Yeah.
I'm a psychic, I can read cards and all the rest of it. You think, when's this bull crap going? I'm not saying cards are bull crap, I'm just, what I mean is, when's this going to end?
It's not. I think that society is changing and we're having a shift in that direction. Everybody has the opportunity to be gifted. So like, I'm not against anybody that's like, hey, I want to be a card reader, I'm going to start reading cards. Go for it. But practice and understand the reasons behind what it is. Don't just do it to do it and not know what you're doing. There's a lot to be learned when you're doing things like that. And it takes practice. Even doing tarot cards takes practice and takes understanding. It's not just a random thing that you magically all of a sudden get to do because you decided to do it today.
Her wee one, she's taking she wants to start, she's 10, turned 10 a couple of weeks ago. She wants to start doing the tarot readings. The tarot learning, so Tracy is she's going to hold classes for her. Tracy's from Oxford, and we trust her, that's one I did my shooter shows with. And so, we asked her, would you? She said, I'd love to teach her. Some folks say that 10 might, do you think 10's too young for it? Or?
So at that age, this is my personal opinion, and it's not anything that's set in stone. They're not emotionally intelligently grown enough to have a full comprehension of what is the reality of it. But it's not the wrong time to learn, because if you're learning the meanings and you're learning the process, you're learning. So I am totally okay with, because even our daughter who's 9, she's interested in that stuff. And I would rather her kind of have an understanding of it, even if she's not emotionally mature enough to have all of the connections that are there to have. Children are very intuitive, and it's just that whether they're mature enough in that intuition to have the understanding of what they're really interacting with and what the whole process is. So, but learning at this age, absolutely, they absorb and learn faster than we can, and why not?
Definitely. She's right into the paranormal. She's right.
Yeah, I'll be back in 1 minute, so to take
William's running away because our dog is being ridiculous, so he'll be right back.
I'm actually getting peace fears. No, the wee one, she's right into the parrot. She has been for a few years now, and she's done some investigations with us during the day. We took her out in night time last year. We did a collab with Team Fiscal Bright, and she wanted to come out. We went to Loudonburg because we knew it was safe, for her. And we go to some activity, not a great amount, but we go to some. But she, Sarah was there, Laura was there, and I was there. So she was well, and this other team was there. So she was well looked after, kind of.
For sure.
She did get a wee bit freaked out, which was fine. We knew it might freak her out a wee bit, but she loves it.
So does our daughter. So Addie has investigated overnight at a couple places. Again, we are pretty protective of that as well, especially because she's very in tune with things. She has done Broadhead Manor, which is a school that's about 2.5 hours from where we live, that seems to be a lot of children entities. So it's kind of a, she vibes with it. It's not got a lot of negative interactions. So it's a place where we trust that you're going to be okay here. And, everything that we've had there has been pretty positive experiences. So, we've let her investigate overnight there with us. We stay there when we investigate there. So, it just makes sense. And it was a great first place for her to interact. What was strange about it was one of the interactions she had was actually somebody that we knew personally in our lives that connected with her at that location, and he'd never been there in his lifetime. He had passed away and came through because she at one point was scared, and he came through as a protective entity of her, and we had a full communication with him, which was fascinating. She has done Edinburgh Manor with us now. She just did that this fall. And that is a scarier, darker, sometimes not as friendly location, but we try very hard not to make it be that, because there's so many positive interactions to have there as well. We're not in it for the, we just want to have a scary experience. We're in it we want to have a conversation with whoever wants to have a conversation with us. So,
aye, that's happening all over here as well, which I'll come to. Folk are wanting the fear factor, but I would say the wee one, she is right in. She's been out there for a few years, and some people say, "Oh, she's too young." I say, well, no, hold on. She's young, but we're no pushing her down that road.
Right.
We're telling her, you want to go out and do this with us, that's totally fine. You do it at your own pace. There's no force to go. You're coming out with us tonight. Blah blah blah. And so that night she'd been on and on about coming out at night time with us. She's right, okay, you can come with us tonight. And I knew everybody there was responsible enough. She'd be well looked after. And of course it was loud and safe, as you know.
I love that.
Nothing demonic or anything there, and she did get a wee bit freaked out, but no, we think it's great that, and as Craig says, she's a great investigator. She is. When we went with that other team, the Unlock Paranormal, they've been doing it quite a long time. And so Tayami was there, and she was talking to them at this before we started off, and she was, as if she was giving them lessons and what the K2 was for. And
absolutely.
I was standing listening to her and thinking, these folk have been doing this a long time. But she's got, now this is a K2 meter, and this does such and such. You'll pick up energy, so you watch the lights and that. Bless you, they were great. They were just, oh, right, okay, thanks very much. And this is a REM pod. This will make a noise.
I love it.
She was, right into it. And I think it's a good thing. I think children should get involved because there's nothing to be scared. You know yourself, there's nothing to be scared of.
And that's what it is. A lot of my, the paranormal field is just its own thing. Most of the people want it to be dark, scary, frightening, awful stuff. I have people, like, I even had a coworker recently that was like, "Oh, you invite demons into your life because you try to, like, paranormal is all demonic." And she's very Christian, and I'm just like, I touched my grandma. You're gonna tell me my grandma is evil? That's sad. That's really sad. It's a learning process, and like, Addie has been with me on 100 tours. She could give a tour at the place I work just as good as I could at this point. She knows everything. And there's no fear. And because the reality of it is there's a lot of things that we don't know, and there's a lot of things that we experience. And luckily she hasn't had any physical encounters yet, but she knows that that's a possibility, and she knows that I've had them. And her getting to learn from the fact that I react in a way of, oh wow, I got scratched by something or whatever, and it's not scary. It's, wow, how did you do that? Can you explain how you were able to do that? Because you don't have physical form, yet you made a mark on me that is a physical mark. How do you do that? And a lot of people, like, the first instance of a scratch is, oh my gosh, it's something negative trying to harm me. And I'm like, I'm in a building that is a bunch of handicapped, disabled, mentally insane people have lived here. What if they literally are just trying to get my attention, and that's the only way they know how? What if they need something? What if they need help, and that is their only way to get my attention because I didn't hear or see them?
They could be frustrated or whatever.
Yeah, you never know. But if you react as everything is scary, you're not getting to really get to the depth of what the reality of it is.
That over here, there's quite a few folks started doing the paranormal, and I watched them investigating. They go to a place, and one person went to Loudon, I don't know, about a month ago, and we saying, oh, there was witchcraft in that there, and I think there was a witch hung there and all the rest. And you're sitting watching this, and I commented. I said, look, we've been doing Loudon for over 4 years now. We've done numerous investigations there with several different teams and individuals. There's nothing negative at Loudon.
Well, you could also ask, like, what do you have to back that claim up? Do you have documents? Do you have documentation to show that somebody was hung there for being accused of being a witch?
Right.
Do you have any official documentation? Is there somewhere we can find this so we can look up and say, okay, you're correct? Or are you just making a claim up because it sounds very interesting if you're doing a live at a location that a lot of people have not seen before?
Because if you turn, you're right. Well, if you turn around and say at a location, there's nothing here, folks, we say paranormal's crap. But if you turn around and say, oh, there's a witch here, then their ears are going to perk up. But it's a. And
then William chimes in and says, "Don't call your wife that." Is that?
You've actually been quite good tonight so far, Kat. You're usually slagging me off long before now. I'm not inviting the slagging, by the way.
They knew you said the words, so I knew it's going to happen.
But I did say it in the post that you have got a wee habit of slagging me off. But however, that's fine. But
it's like Edinburgh. There's so many people go there and say, "Oh, I encountered a demon," or they put the video on YouTube and they say the night a demon almost killed us, or somebody had a video where they're like, "Yeah, electric shock therapy was done here on people and it was insane." And there's no documentation for that to support their claims.
But is it not annoying to you? I mean, the Edinburgh man is quite a special place to use. Same as Loudon, it's there basically. So when you get people that go in, or maybe in the grounds investigating, whatever, and they're saying, "Oh, it's demonic, it's dark, witchy," whatever it is they're saying, it must annoy you to watch these cabbages.
To understand Edinburgh Manor, from like me personally, if you want to understand Edinburgh Manor, you have to understand the people that were there, the people that called it home. Because there was a lot that had like physical or mental disabilities. A lot of people had different medical conditions that at the time weren't really diagnosed as good as what we have now for medical conditions, how you can treat them. But there was also a lot of people who were put in there by families who just didn't want to look after them. And that was somebody's granny or granddad or uncle, brother, sister, even somebody's kids. You know, they wanted were kind of put in that place because society was like, well, we don't want to look at them. Let's just put them out there and we can kind of forget about them. But at the end of the day, they were still people. They still had lives and they were still somebody's family member, you know? And I don't think a lot of people look at that.
I mean, as you say, some kind of mental illness, you know, whatever. But they probably never had that other life. You know, so at one point they would have been, I'm not going to say normal because they're still bloody people, do you know what I mean? At one point they would have been totally sane and, I don't know, normal. I ain't using that word, but you know what I mean? Had a job, you know, held on a job, all the rest of it. And then, you know, later on in life, and as you see, well, these families didn't know what to do. Either didn't know what to do with them, or they just couldn't be bothered with them.
You know, somebody had an accident at work and they become physically disabled and they can't work. They can't support themselves, well, they put them out there. You know?
Or maybe it's financial. Maybe the families couldn't, you know, didn't have the financial backing to care for them or what, provide that care. And they thought, well, do you know what, right, you're off.
You know, at the end of the day, that's no evil, that's no demonic, that's no hordes of demons coming through some random gateway in the basement. It's just people, and people forget as well that apparitions, right? When you encounter an apparition, it's just us, but no physically. They still are us, you know, and we are them.
It's amazing how many people get into these locations, and everything turns demonic. As you say, you know. You mentioned the word asylum or, you know, something like that, you know, a psychiatric hospital. They immediately start thinking, you know, these people were nuts, they were serial killers and all the rest of it.
It's like Kat was talking about scratches, you two were mentioning scratches. So you think about if you're not receptive to lighter touches, like you're like something trying to caress your hair or tug on your shirt, it's then going to kind of step up a little bit. But what if it doesn't realise how much pressure it's putting onto you? And it causes scratches, and it's like, oh, I didn't really mean to do that. I'm really sorry. I was just trying to get your attention.
Aye, but they can't physically see it.
But then it doesn't sound horrible, right? It doesn't sound horrible. Then it's just it didn't realise how much pressure was putting on you to get your attention, and now it's caused these one or two scratches.
Aye, they don't look at both sides of the coin.
Aye, like once I saw a post on a page where somebody says a spirit tells you leave, get out. What do you do? And a lot of people were saying, yeah, I'm going to stay and I'm going to hang around. I ain't moving for this and yada yada. I commented, I was like, look, let's look at this from another angle. What if that apparition who's telling you leave/get out, isn't he doing it because it wants you out of its hair, which I know there is some apparitions who just want left in peace. What if it's trying to warn you of something that's in the vicinity, maybe another apparition that could potentially be harmful to you, and it's telling you leave/get out? Because does he want to see you harmed?
Aye, that's another way of looking at it. I'll stay a comment up in a wee second, Craig. The other way, I mean, it's happened to us, you know, we've been, you know, at a location and we've been told to leave, and we'll say, right, well, if you light that ball up again for us, we'll leave, you know, and it's had the balls lit up, whatever, and we're left, and people say, why did you leave if you're getting activity? That doesn't make any sense. I said, well, maybe it doesn't to some people, but think it this way. If that spirit wanted, if we made a deal with that spirit, which we did, you like the ball, we leave.
Yeah.
If we broke that deal, the next time we get back, there's a chance that spirit might be there and they might remember us thinking, wait a minute, they lied to me the last time.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to talk to them. Whereas if you do leave, even though everything might, all your, you know, gadgets might be going nuts, if you do leave, I give more chance of the spirit talking to you the next time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what I mean.
That's why one of the questions we don't ask, do you want us to leave? Because then you set yourself in a position of you either are respecting what their response is, or you're not respecting it. And that, you know, that if you don't want to have to leave, then don't put yourself in the position to have asked that question.
Oh, there's a couple of times we're picked up quite clear on the next before whatever, you know, to leave, you know,
Yeah.
go away, stuff like that. So if we get that, then we say to them, do you want us to leave? If you want us to leave, then, you know, light a ball, whatever. And then we will leave. And, well, you know, and if they do light the ball, whatever, then we do say, right, okay,
Yeah.
you want us to leave, we'll go away, but we will come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another time, and hopefully you'll speak to us again.
Yeah.
Kate says, if you go to a location expecting to be scary, it's scary. If you go with good intentions, you get a nice atmosphere. The ghost shack to your attitude. Sometimes I think they prank us. I think have you ever been pranked by a spirit? I know, Kat, the gentleman at Edinburgh Manor, has he know a bit of I was going to say playful person?
So we do have a spirit at Edinburgh Manor that they call the Joker because of his behaviors. He definitely does a lot of things. He's known for actually manipulating objects, potentially throwing things, knocking things off tables. He's known for touching people, growling at people. We get weird laughter. We've had people see a full apparition in the basement. So that they've dubbed him the Joker because his behavior seems to be mischievous in most cases. We have a lot of spirits that I think are funny, pranking kind of spirits. So for me, one of the things that as a tour guide, I strongly feel like a lot of the spirits are literally just saying things just to say things. So, you know, people ask me all the time, well, what's the name of the spirit in this room? And I'm like, we have thousands of people through this building. I can't tell you who's claiming the room today to give you a, you know, direct answer of, you know, oh, George is here, or, you know, Henry or whoever. And, you know, we ask all the time, like, if you're here with us, what's your name? And some of the rooms, we've had so many different names. I'm like, I think they're just bullshitting us at this point. You know, can you tell us who's here with us right now? Oh, well, John and Frank and George and Robert and Mary and Lucy. And I'm like, no, for real, who's actually here with us right now? Or do we have that many spirits? Or are you just saying names because you're trying to shut us up? You know, I think they do. I think they have the full ability to be funny or, you know, misleading. I mean, we are in real life. They still are in the afterlife.
Exactly. What were you, William? William, that sounds dead posh. What were you, Willie?
I know it did sound posh, Scott. I mean, you think of the people there, like at Edinburgh Manor especially, and maybe a lot of them, you know, some of them didn't have families at all. Maybe they had nobody else. All they had was maybe the other staff to talk to the other residents. So I'm not saying, I think you have one branch apparitions who don't want to communicate. They just want left alone. You know, it's like, leave me alone, let me do anything, don't bug me, right? Then you have some that they want to communicate with you. They want communication. They want that little. So maybe they're throwing you on deliberation, misinformation to keep you there because they want to continue the conversation a bit longer because maybe they have a bit of loneliness, right? So if Kat says, "Tell me can you tell me your name, please?" and someone says, George, you'd be like, "Okay, George, cool. Well, I'll be back, right?" And then you walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So now George is sitting there like, "Oh. You know, I'm just sitting here with nobody again." So maybe they feed out some misinformation just to mislead you, just to kind of keep you around a little bit longer, you know?
I think it's a good thing, you know, if that I can't remember if it's ever happened to us, but I think it's quite a good thing if spirit feels comfortable enough to have a laugh and a joke. They like you enough to have a laugh and a joke. Because let's face it, just what you said, you know, there's still people. You know, regardless, they don't have a body, but they're still people, as we always say. And I think if they didn't like you, then they wouldn't bother with you. They wouldn't come near you. But for them to interact with you and have a laugh and a joke, I think that's a good thing. It shows that you're settled there. They're settled. They're comfortable with you. You're comfortable with them. And you've got a good connection there. They might not give you tons of information of what it was like back in the day and, you know, etc. But there's still that kind of connection between the two of you.
Right, and humor's a universal language. Everybody understands humor. So I don't think it's very much different for apparitions.
But here's a question. See, just what you were saying, Kat, you get in a certain room and they maybe tell you, you know, there's 5 or 6 individuals there, George, Robert, blah, 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 whatever. How do you know on a normal investigation whether they're pranking you or not, or they're serious?
I don't know. How do you know if I'm being sarcastic or not?
Here.
You know, that's, you know.
I know when you're being sarcastic. I've learned that lesson well. It just rips at you, as they say.
You know, sometimes you don't know, because depending on what piece of equipment you're using for the communications, if you're asking a question and you're getting a response in spirit box, you might be able to hear the vocal inflections of how they're pronouncing their name or how they're saying it, or if it's, you know, serious or not serious. But if you're getting something like the Ovilus, and you've got a word popping up on screen, you have no context as to the emotion behind it. If you're asking questions and it's yes, no answers by flashlight or cat ball or K2 or whatever, or REM pod, you don't know. You have no way of knowing whether, you know, they're just doing it to do it, or if it's, you know, happy, sad, angry, mad, or if they're pranking you or not pranking you. You just have to try to go by what it feels like, I guess. And your emotional state impacts that just as much as their interactions. So if you're in a place where you think it's something and you're misinterpreting it, you know, how do you know what is and what isn't? I think that we influence things in a way with our emotions that we don't always get clear communications.
Do you think that maybe that, because, you know, I'm going to use again Loudon as an example. The more time you spend, the more you get to know the individual personalities. You know, take James Dempster, for instance. We know he likes his full title given to him. We know that he's not a joker or a prankster. We know that he's a serious gentleman, basically, but he's a nice gentleman. So I think the longer you interact with them, you get to learn. Again, they've all got different personalities. They're all different people. You know, James Dempster is a very serious individual in a good way, but then you've got Christina, his wife, and what we have picked up. In fact, last week we did Loudon, the K2 came flying off the headstone. Again, that's the second time that's happened. But we think that Christina is more stricter. She likes things done her way. And it's amazing what you can actually pick up.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Here's another question for you. I thought a question. I don't usually have questions.
Yeah, I know you don't usually ask questions, man. I kind of dig in it, actually.
I know. So here's another question for you. I'm trying to sound all intelligent, even though I'm from Pollock. But, you know.
Yeah, no, just don't ruin the reputation of Pollock, please.
Hey, we the Gregs in Pollock. We the beefy bakes. No,
yeah, and I bet it was cold.
Yeah. They were, because they're too warm. Have you ever tried eating? I call it a steak bakes. I call it beefy bakes. Have you ever tried? I remember one time, totally off topic. Sarah went down to see her dad in Kilwinning, and aye, right, short stack. You and I will talk later on. My daughter's creeping up behind me, as you can see. 2 seconds, folks. All right, thank you. She's giving me my pen back. So one time I dropped Sarah off at her dad's in Kilwinning. Oh, there's a wee cat.
This is our cat from Edinburgh.
Was that the Edinburgh cat?
Yeah.
What did you say, cat? The cat from where?
From Edinburgh. Where? We pronounce it the Iowa way.
Edinburgh.
Or Edinburgh, I've heard that.
It's Edinburgh. Aye, so I drove Sarah off and I went to Greg's, got a couple of beefy bakes. And I couldn't eat them for about an hour because they were that hot.
Honestly, I thought when people told me they went into a Greg's one time, they ordered, like, you know, a sausage roll, whatever. And they go in, it was piping hot. I honestly thought that was like legend. myth, sorcery. You know, I'm like, I've never had anything there that was like piping hot, not even mildly warm.
Oh no, see when you get in the Greg's and the sausage roll tray's empty and you see the lassie bringing the tray out, that's when you dread it. Because you know you're mixing the queue and you're wanting some sausage rolls and you're not going to be able to eat them till about 5 o'clock that night. You know, the time they actually cool down.
Aye.
So, you know, if your sausage roll tray is empty in Greg's and get something else,
Sandwich.
It's been edible because of a good 2 or 3 hours before you can eat it. Anyway, here is my question.
He remembered.
I remembered that question for you. So I've heard a few folk here saying they want to look at the scientific. Before I ask you, no offence to any scientific people out there. I don't even know if that's a word, is it? Scientific people out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard a lot of people say, we want to look at the scientific side of the paranormal. We want to prove beyond a doubt scientifically, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And I think, leave it alone. Because paranormals know about science. Paranormal is just basically one person talking to another. Simple as that. On another, so talking to somebody on the other side of a door. What do you guys think about the scientific approach that a lot of people? I don't know if it's the same out here.
I feel both ways. I think that because so many things can be faked, that we need to have some sort of standard in a repeatable communication. So while it is a communication, as you say, I think that being able to go back to a location and document that, yes, in fact, we are talking to the same spirit. This is the information that we have. And be able to keep record of it, that's the scientific side of things. So while it may or may not feel scientific, that is, you're trying to get a repeatable instance of an interaction in order to be able to say, yes, this is real. Versus just an experience of a one-off. I went to this place, somebody threw something at me, I got scared and I ran out and it was demons. That was a very dramatic version.
It was a very scary media.
Yeah, you know, I could have a one-time investigation at one place and never go back, and there's no science behind it. And what am I really doing for myself or the paranormal field or the reality of what it is? Nothing. What am I doing for the location and the spirit that I communicated with? Nothing, because I'm never going back again. You know, I am less a bucket list, got to go to all the places person, as much as I would rather say, hey, I went to this location and I talked to Jerry again, and this is the information he gave me this time. And it's fascinating. And I can say that, yes, scientifically, I can say this is real because it is consistently this. It is giving me the same type of input. It's giving me the same type of interaction. If you can back that up with things like air pressure changes, temperature changes, actual physical equipment having measured vibration or, radiation changes, that just validates the reality of I'm not losing my mind making this stuff up. It's real. And so for me, I think the science is just as important as the experience, but you can't always capture both. So, like, both are valid.
What about you, William?
Well, also you can't convince an apparition to sit down and go into a lab and get tested and repeat things there. That's never going to happen. But if you look at books on parapsychology, people call that a pseudoscience. But these were serious people that were looking to accumulate data to show that this was real. You need data to show you what's going on when something happens. Because a lot of people think that the devices that you use are detecting ghosts or apparitions, whatever, but they're detecting what happened in the environment when something shows up, when something happens. That's what you're looking at. That's what your data. That's what you want, right? So if somebody buys a location, something happens to them in it, and they go, "Oh, I had an experience, so I'm going to open this up as a haunted location." Okay, that's great, but what data do you have to show repeatable evidence? of what's going on in that building. You know, you need that data is very important. That data is telling you what's going on in the environment. You know, as the radiation levels going up, as the temperatures going down, things like that. The barometric pressure is changing, the air pressure is changing, things like that. If you can see that in the changes when something happens consistently, then you have your data to support your hypothesis that, okay, when this, let's just say if this apparition shows up, here's what's dropping, here's what's climbing, you can see it, you know?
See, no, I get totally what the two years are saying, and it's going back to the same place over and over again. Some people, I mean, we do different places randomly. You know, maybe as a one-off, or we'll do the same place a handful of times, whatever. But I think just what you were saying as well, Kat, about, you know, if you can back it up, if you go back and you get the same, the kind of, not the exact same response, but you get a similar response, but in the same part of the building, cut, whatever it is you are. I mean, a prime example is when you two were over here, we took you to Loudon. Kat, you were sitting at the Celtic Cross.
Yeah.
And you picked up on who?
A girl.
A girl.
Mm-hmm.
Every team we took in has picked up on a girl in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, we didn't tell you anything about Loudon at the time, but you sat there and you quite think that there was a little girl, I think, behind you playing with your hair, something like that. Did they never see me play with mine?
I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a mystery.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a fine tufter. You've got hair down there, you know. But it's when you go back and you get, as I say, Kat, you picked up a wee girl. Everybody else we've took, we've always picked up a wee girl in that area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not just a one-off. Same as doing the back at the Dem support, that we've always picked up on a male. And you guys picked up on them as well, going back and forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the same area. And it's when you get stuff like that, like say Edinburgh Manor, or sorry, Edinburgh Manor.
That's better.
Is that better? Sorry, Bill, I forgot my English there.
I know.
You get back to Edinburgh Manor, and you've got Jerry, and you've got the Joker. They're constantly there.
Yeah.
Then to me, there's your evidence.
But what you're doing, even with Loud and Kirk, even though you are saying like necessarily it's not about the scientific part of it, what you're doing is the scientific part of it, because you are bringing in different people and different circumstances, and you are able to consistently get similar interactions and similar information, and you're making the comparisons between my visit and someone else's visit, and you are using that information to further your investigation the next time you go back. So even though you're saying like the science isn't necessarily the whole, you know, background, you're doing it with the science of what it is. You're trying to validate the information that you're getting and be able to prove that, hey, you know, we are having an interaction and a relationship with this same person over and over and over.
Right,
I mean,
so
that is the science.
I'm doing some science then.
You are.
Because you're not telling people anything about anything you get in there. You bring them in, you say, on you go, do anything, and then when they get to this Celtic Cross, people are picking up on the same thing. Yeah, there's this little girl running about here or behind me or wherever, you know. And the more you go, the more it's easier to be opened up to that.
I'll tell you something else I've told you guys. Just about Loudon, is I don't know if I ever told you about the smell of perfume I picked up on just in the crypt.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we didn't really get to do much with the crypt when we were there, so.
Yeah, we get married. That's when we get married inside the crypt.
Yeah.
It was raining. We were quite lucky. It was raining. I've got a wee pooch down here, and there's a lot of cables down here, but Paddy's decided to have a wee sniff. Get out there, mister. He's decided to have a wee sniff about.
William did the same thing.
We were investigating with Spig, and I had the headset, the headphones and the blind. I'm watching it all. Blindfold on. I was standing in the crypt, and I get a really strong smell of perfume. 3 times I got it. And none of the lasses had perfume on, and they were all away at the Campbell Monument. And so when we were arranging the wedding, we met up with the friends of Loudon Kirk, because obviously we had to speak to them because this is where we were getting hitched. And I was telling one of the girls, the sort of woman who runs it, we were just generally talking about the smell of it. She says, that's funny, because 2 of the women in the group had picked up the smell of perfume over at that crypt. And obviously they didn't know about me or sod all, but these 2 at different times that picked up the smell of perfume at the crypt, and that's where Lady Flora Campbell's buried. So I thought, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's paranormal, as it would ever do, but for me and 2 women who have got no clue about me, we didn't know about each other, to have did the same thing at this exact same spot, you know, is that science?
Well, I mean, one of the things that you can get for apparitions is smell. Everybody perceives apparitions differently. Some people get visuals, and some people get sounds. Some people get touch. Others get smell and taste.
It was weird because I go to the crypt and then I went back over and I stood beside I was standing beside everybody else, and I smelled it again, and I says to them, "Can you still smell that?" And nobody could smell it. And I was there must have been, I don't know, 10s or 8 or 10s, and I was kind of in the middle, and how can you not smell that? No, I can't smell that. But
probably then you're able to perceive that better than the other people there.
I've always found that weird, just to perceive it. How spirit, do you think it's a way of spirits singling you out? It's happened to me a couple of times where I've heard something, for instance, Caldwell House, we took another team in there once, and I took them down to the basement just to give them a rough wee show what the danger bits and safe bits. And there was 4 of them and me in one of the rooms in the basement, and I heard a woman shouting, "Why?" Clear as real time, "Why?" And I turned around to them, and they were just that. I said, "Did you not hear that?" "No." She says, "You didn't hear a woman shouting, 'Why?'" None of them heard it, but I know, and everybody knows me, knows I don't make stuff up. Well, apart from about my age, but we'll not go there.
And your hairline.
And your hairline?
Right. It's these headphones that do it. I swear to God, see, I've got hair for their back.
They're doing a poor job.
Hey, Wilbur, your hairline seems to be retreating on you a wee bit.
Not very much. I mean, that's not.
No, his is the same.
It started just a wee bit. But do you think that spirit sometimes singles you out?
I don't think it's singling you. I think it's what people perceive. So everybody, like reading on books on parapsychologists, like guys like Raymond Bayless, D. Scott, Rogel, Lloyd Orbach. Everybody is capable of psi ability to some degree. Sometimes it's greater, sometimes it's less, and it's kind of linked into musical talent, right? Some people are really good at music and can just pick up naturally. Some people are all right at it. They have to practice a little bit, but then they get it. Other people, they just practice and practice and practice and never get it, right? So that's what psi is like. So some people can, you can have a group of people in an apparition show up and only one person in that group sees it, and the rest never saw it, even though they're all looking down the same way. Our brain is a receiver for things. Our brain receives things on a daily basis, and we're all different. So if our psi ability is all different,
that's why I don't receive anything.
Aye, it's different for apparition. So my question is, like, how does an apparition know what you're going to receive better than something else? So if an apparition tries a visual and you don't get it, the apparition is like, okay, so let me try the next thing. Let me try audible. But I've asked that before. Like, how does an apparition know who's susceptible to what type of 5 senses? It just in that moment you were susceptible to this woman saying why,
Because it happened I've got a wee comment to stick up for the one for Craig, the palace here where Craig used to work, the Lavender Ladies. I've heard this a few times from different people as well. in the theatre. She called The Lavender Lady. There's a song smell of lavender. Laura says, Scott, my bestie, don't pay no attention to Kat Will. You're perfect. What can I say? What can I say? But it's weird when it happens. You know, it happened to us at Dunmore House in near Stirling. There was Laura, myself, and two Fourth Valley Paranormal were there, and we were just outside there, outside the basement, and the two guys, they were maybe, I don't know, about 10 feet in front of me. Laura was in one of the wee rooms, and I was standing, and I heard a woman laugh behind me. And I was kind of, very, very clear. And I spun round, there was nobody there. But I says to the two boys, I said, did you? No, we never heard. I says, you didn't hear that laugh? I said, no, we never heard it.
Right, so here's a question for you then, right? When you heard that laugh, right, just the same as when you heard this woman say why, do you honestly believe you were hearing it with your ears, or you were hearing it up here?
It sounded like she was standing behind me.
Right, and you heard it clear as a whistle, you know?
Aye, you know, the same as if Laura had been standing behind me laughing. But
Yep,
she was elsewhere.
But you know, you're thinking you're like, okay, I heard it audibly, right? But is it your ears that are hearing it, or is it your brain receiving that telepathic laugh that's sent to you? Your brain receives it, sort of translates it, and then poof, you hear it. You're hearing it up here, or here, wherever you want to call it. Because it's not a physical laugh like ours, because apparition is not physical any longer. Same when you see an apparition, are you seeing it with your own eyes, or are you just seeing a hallucination up here thrown by the apparition, you know?
No, you've lost me. I was trying to be all intelligent with all the questions. No, you've thrown a duck in the pond. I don't even know if that's a saying.
You don't even have any ducks. Mine are squirrels.
Well, think about it this way, right? An apparition isn't physical, so it can't show you itself physically, right? So when it wants to appear to you, it has to create an image of itself, right? That includes the classes as well. In fact, tell you what, we'll do a fun little exercise since you're here, right? Close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes, right?
You're not going to disappear on me, are you?
No. So what you do is create an image of yourself in your mind, right? And you can look as how you look now, or you can look younger. It's up to you. But once you have that image in your mind, keep it there and open your eyes. Okay, I'm assuming you've got your eyes open. It's a small screen. Now, when you created this image in your mind of yourself, right? Did you give yourself clays?
Aye, I don't want to see myself naked when I was 25.
Nobody wants to see a naked apparition. Did you give yourself hands and feet? Did you remember to give yourself a neck?
Aye.
Did you remember to give yourself hair, shoes on your feet, things like that?
Doesn't have any hair.
Oh, well, aye.
Did you give yourself hair because you could? No.
The what?
Did you give yourself hair because you could?
Aye, I wanted to remember what I look like with hair.
So that's what an apparition is doing. It's creating an image of itself. It's clothes it's wearing. It's age. I mean, some people say the same apparition as... Some people say the same apparition will say, yeah, I saw it when I was younger, but some will say that I saw it when I was older. Because it can make that image up. And then what it does is it sends it like via some telepathic ability to your brain. The brain takes it, makes sense of it, and then goes, oh, okay. A minute ago there was nobody standing there, and all of a sudden there's a guy standing there in a tuxedo. Then he's gone again. You know?
I know what you mean. That happened to me at Loudon. I put this up for Laura. You also have to know there was this one area of this basement. There was quite a significant temperature drop. Now we tested for drafts, and my lighter out. We did the old lighter test as well. There was no drafts, nothing. But just this one spot, the temperature just went boom, done, and we could not explain it. I say I always check it with my lighter. I think that's the best way to do it, you know. And well, if you don't smoke, you're kind of bucket. Just you love a lighter, you know. But we just could not explain it. But I mean, at Loudon one night, I was standing, we were standing down support. I looked out to the left, there's trees and bushes, and there was like a couple of seconds of even that. I thought I saw a young girl, start black hair, white dress, nighty thing, white thingy on, and then she was gone.
Yeah,
But you're talking a second or two, not even that.
yeah, and that's the interesting thing in GNM Tyrell's book Apparitions. He calls it apparitional drama, right? So the apparition is the producer at this scene that they're going to enact and show you, right? But they're also the stage camper, so they're making their image, they're getting themselves the clays, they're getting themselves whatever else that's in this little scene. Could be a horse and cart, right? They get it all together, they get it ready, and they go action, and poof, they send that to your brain gets it, and then you're like, oh, a minute you were looking there, all of a sudden you're seeing this little girl with black hair, white, little nightie on. You blink and she's gone.
That's what it was like, blinked and...
Aye, but you saw her. But were you seeing her with your own physical eyes, or you're seeing her up here? It just translates to you thinking you're seeing it here.
That is an interesting point. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody else. I didn't mention it to anybody else because it's one of these situations. You think, did I see something or did I not? So you just keep it to yourself. No unless I saw it again, but I didn't. That was just a kind of one-off. But it's all these things that make the paranormal so fascinating, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And there's some great authors of books out there that you can get that really go deep diving and make you think.
I like to keep it. To me, one answer produces 1,000 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And people might say, how does that work? You say, well, you answer a question, somebody's going to question your answer and then question it, and it just snowballs, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Going and going. That's why I like to keep it simple. Otherwise, I'd be lost. You know what I mean? I like just to keep it plain and simple, because I think that's what spirit is. They're just people wanting to talk to other people.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know what kind of gadgets you use. We use very little, because I don't think spirit cares, basically. what you're going, what you're no go. But I've seen some guys going to investigations and you think they're going to war with Russia or something like that with the amount of stuff they've got.
Well, I like Barry Frankish, what he's doing with his, the Victorian detective. Like taking it back very, very old school to basically very little to no equipment and doing it the way it was done then. When the SPR first showed up, they were collecting cases on apparitional encounters and investigating these claims old-fashioned way.
I like what Barry's doing. He was making mail me yesterday with a date. He's coming back again. I've had Barry on quite a few times, and he does the Proud to Be. He's the brains behind Proud to Be Paranormal. But the last time I had him on, he was talking about that idea, and I think he just started it off. And it is a good idea because Mark Egerton, he's been in the paranormal for 50 years. Well, this summer will be 50 years. And we were talking last week about when he started out, he didn't have any of these fancy gadgets. It was your basic bits of string, stuff like that.
Yep, powder, things like that you just set up.
Powder, candles, basic stuff. And they still get activity. They still get responses. Mm-hmm. Maybe in a different way that we get them today. But you see what Barry's doing. It should get back to basics. I know America, I think they're more tech driven than we are.
Yeah, for sure.
Use Americans.
Right.
Tech, Silicon Valley and all that kind of stuff. No.
No.
You tried. No. You tried, Scott. I'll give you a 5 out of 10 for trying at least,
Well, I did try. You can at least try.
I gave you a 5 out of 10. That was nice. I gave you a halfway point.
What about a 6? Just going towards the 10.
No, I'm keeping it at 5 only.
Aye, all right, I'll damn me more than a one, so who cares?
Aye, the glass is half full rather than half empty in that one.
Well, that's it. Better to be optimistic than pessimistic. See, I know they was because I went to school sometimes.
Sometimes.
Usually a Saturday when it was shut.
I thought it was
So
Sunday.
at least I tried. You know, I'd say to my mum and dad, well, you know, I went to school, but it's shut. So it's Saturday, that's it. Well, I did try. I was there with my books.
And the cool thing is, even when you're doing old school methods, you're still going to get those visuals and those audible sounds when they touch. You're still going to get all of that. And again, you're going to question it, like, was I really seeing that, or was I getting all up here? Because
you're always going to question, but I think you need to always question.
Because the theory an apparition is that of the human consciousness surviving bodily death. That's what's surviving. So our consciousness just kind of floats around, does what it does, and then when it sees us, it decides, okay, I'm going to have some contact with these people, That consciousness kind of interact the way physical people can, so I have to do it a different way.
Aye, they need to find a way kind of ruin it. But no, it's how do you put it? Take all the takeaway. Let's get back to the old school as Barry's doing stuff with that, and I think we're going a little better. And I think Spirit would appreciate it more. It might sound stupid, probably does, but I think they would appreciate it more. If you get in a room, if you get two people get into a room and one's armed to the hilt with cameras and all this kind of tech, and then you've got another wee guy getting in with a couple of candles and some bits of string and some flour, I expect it's going to go towards the wee guy with the flour.
It's very possible, aye, they could. I suppose he's going to manipulate.
Basically, and they all wear flag. I don't know what it's like here, but quite a few investigators here wear these, the black vests and all the rest of it. Why?
Aye, like the
tactical vest.
Yeah, that's it.
I think you expect to, you're going to get a war with the Spirit or something.
Well, if you were going to go to war, then you're going to lose that one big time.
I at least need to have something with pockets, though, Scott, because I gotta be able to have a place to put the things that I'm using. So I gotta have extra pockets, but I don't wear a vest or anything. I usually just have pants with extra pockets in them.
So you don't paint your face in it. We've got a bag. We use bags in Scotland for putting things in.
Tesco bag.
Tesco bag. You know what I mean?
But I usually set mine down and lose it, and then he ends up taking it, and I just want to be able to put my flashlight in my pocket. So,
you got a bag that you never find. We've got a grey bag. We've had it for a couple of years. It's still in good condition. But you put things in it and they vanish. They disappear. You can't find it, even though you put the thing in. But it could be a Tesco bag, even though it's about 40 pence now for a bag.
See, that's paranormal. That's paranormal. You're stuck in your bag and finishing. It's kind of like you put you wash your clothes and you move them to the dryer and you're taking it out, and you put a pair of socks in there, but you only get one sock back. That's paranormal.
I used to get odd socks when I stayed myself. How is that even possible?
Yeah, that's paranormal activity right there.
I used to question that all the time. How can you get an odd sock when you're only doing washing for one person? That's not normal. Do you know what I mean? But I think Spirit would appreciate it more if you just went back to basics and you didn't wear the flat jackets and all the rest of the pocketed. I saw one guy once, just before we finish up, I just noticed the time, a couple of years ago, it was an English guy, and he had all the gear on, black t-shirt, black jacket, boots and all the rest of it, commando. And he was at an old abbey, and he was like, "Oh, I think we've got a monk here," whatever it was, a spirit there. And he went and hid for it. He went behind a wall, and he was up against this wall. He said, I'll hide here and see if I get noticed.
Huh.
So,
that's funny.
Yeah, I think that's a part where they forget that apparitions are non-physical, but they can still see you. They always forget that part.
That amazed me. I know it's no very, I mean, also, Glaswegian, same as you all, it's no very often me loads for words, you know.
No, it's not, but that would lose me there.
Watching this guy, I just sat there and said, well, you know, why are you hiding against the wall? You think the spirit's going to be walking about looking for you? Oh, which way did they go? Where did they go?
Maybe he's playing hide and seek, I don't know. Marco Polo kind of thing, you know?
I come up behind him, go on you're it. You know, the spirit.
Now, this may sound stupid, Scott, but we have done like hide and seek at investigations, specifically at Edinburgh Manor, and the person that's gets a spirit box, and the other people take some piece of equipment with them that doesn't make sound but maybe lights up or something and puts it in the vicinity of where they are, and then they have to find the people that are hiding in hope that the spirits will help them find the other people. And it's funny because one of the instances I did that with a group of, it was a bunch of younger kids that I was helping investigate. I brought some of my equipment out because they didn't have any. And you're like, hey, is there anybody down the hallway on the first floor men's side? Can you tell me, spirits, if there's somebody down there? And clear as day, the box goes, no. And then you hear a laugh from down the first floor men's hallway because there's somebody down there, and the spirits just lied to them. And it's like, you know,
it's a good idea, actually.
It's, you know, we've done card games. You know, we were at a public event helping out at a building. It's a little bar called the Smokestack in Dubuque.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And we weren't getting a whole lot of interactions. I'm like, well, what if I get out a deck of cards? Would you play cards with us? And I'm like, is Go Fish okay? So I handed, 3-4 cards out to everybody in the room, and I put a set of 4 cards on a table next to the only piece of equipment that was getting interactions, which was a flashlight. And we started playing. So I'm like, can you help me out here? We've got a spirit box running. So if you can help me figure out who to ask, I'm looking for a 6. Can you tell me who has a 6? Didn't really get anything. And then, we got to like the third person playing, asking, and all of a sudden we're getting a flashlight on. The person was asking for a card, and the flashlight goes on. Sure enough, the table has that card. And we're like, oh, wait a second here. And they're like, then we're asking out loud, like, can you tell us what color the card is? The spirit box goes red. And I'm like, okay, so we're actually got something happening now. And, we have this gentleman that we investigate with every now and then, and his name is Jim. And he just seems to be a trigger object for spirit, and that's pretty cool. But, all of a sudden, oh, do you want a card from Jim? Flashlight turns on, and, Jim's holding up a card, and it's the card that the match is sitting on the other table. And, we had nothing else happen in that room for that entire investigation, but they played cards.
Well, see, to me, that's a big thing. That's
huge.
Somebody would say, they're expecting, stuff to happen all through the investigation. But even if you get one interaction, whether it's 30 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever, it's still, you're still getting, and for all you know, maybe that's what spirit is the energy for, or maybe that's
right.
what they want to do.
But the people that were there as public guests that have never seen anything like this before, they were floored. They were like, you can't fake that. You just random handed out cards to people. You didn't know how many people were going to be there. You didn't know what cards were going to go to people. And you just got things that interacted with cards that we didn't even know we were going to play.
See, that's hard to debunk.
Right.
You see somebody try and debunk that. You can't debunk that.
Or trying to hide and seek. It's a fun thing to try, it's nice. It's kind of fun to try to see if it breaks the monotony of doing the same thing again. Is sitting there like, oh, can you tell me your name? How old are you? It kind of breaks the monotony, not just for you, but anything there that's tired of getting asked some questions,
Doing something that's impromptu that you're not expecting to have be a thing. I think when you do something different, or you're making it personal, or you're making it be, an interaction with feeling and emotion, there's feeling and emotion when you're playing hide and seek. That's, it's adrenaline, and it's, you know, you have
We
physical
we
things.
have
Yeah.
done that. We have done that. It's just was stairs. You did that. It was gonna. We did the same thing but different. I know that sounds kind of. That stairs are wee. It's a tiny, minute wee village in Ayrshire. There's like a pub and a church, and I think maybe a couple of houses. But we've had that interaction there before. But there was one night we were there, and with the cat balls laid out, and we were saying we think it was a little boy. We're not 100% sure, but we're saying, you know, if you once got to come and find you, then light up the ball, and the ball would light up, and you could. What direction do you want Scott to go and what way do you want him to go? Light that ball up. So, you know, then another ball would light up kind of thing. The only thing was we never go in camera on them because there's zero signal. It's there, sod all. I think we might have recorded it actually. But it was something as if this wee boy wanted to play kind of hide and seek. I forgot about that until Laura says it.
Yeah.
So he was going to tell me where to go. You know, go that because I love that I touched that ball, so go that way. I did try a couple of years ago racing a spirit. I was at Loudon. I put a cat ball over at a headstone, and I stood way back, and I said, "We thought it was a little girl that was there. This is why I did it." I said, "Look, I'm going to race you to go and touch that ball. Can you reach that ball before me?" And I says, I'll say go, and then you go, and we'll see who gets there first. Didn't work. You know, I tried it 3 or 4 times. It never worked. We do need to get back to Sturdy once the weather's better. Last time we were there, it was like 30 degrees. Seriously, in Scotland, it was 30. We had to stop because it was that warm. Nobody could focus. Because we're just, even in the shade, it was just really too hot. And we thought, you know, we're going to call it a day. But so I tried racing, but, you know, we'll probably try that again. But, you know yourself, you can try an experiment 100 times before it might actually work.
Right.
You know, or you might be lucky and it works the first time, straight off the bat. Who knows? But we'll wind it up there, folks. I've just noticed the time. And it might be mid-afternoon for you guys. It's not for us. Well, I mean, but I'll keep it on you after we come off. So where can folk find you apart from Iowa?
Well, Iowa.
We are on Facebook, Instagram. I haven't really done much on TikTok. It's just sitting out there.
Is TikTok no banned?
No, it never got banned. It never got banned. That was just a big drama thing, and then they did never do anything. It's still there.
Was it last year, the year before, there was a big kick up hullabaloo about America was going to ban it, and it never happened.
No, we just make a bunch of drama and then we don't do anything. So TikTok's still a thing.
Typical.
But yeah, Facebook is the easiest way to find us. That's where we do most of our lives and things when we do investigate. So
I thought TikTok was banned there, but typical America. Look at it. It wouldn't happen in Scotland anyway, I'll tell you that much. Know what I'm saying in that? No, I'm coming from that, lassie. Know what I mean? Laura says, always a pleasure, Will and Kat. Sending a big hug to you both. Will and Kat, I don't get a mention.
Love you, Laura.
She said you were a good guy. So
She did say you were perfect.
Oh, she did. I do apologise, Laura, dear. I do
apologise. She said you were perfect. So
I'm just bear with me. That one there. There you go. Do it for me.
Yeah.
Do it for me.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So
go and give them a look up, folks, because we've known Kat and Will for quite some time.
Aye.
A couple of years now, aye. You get a hug anytime. Okay. Thanks, dear. Thank you. And they are quite a genuine couple, and you will be seeing them again. Don't worry, but we're going to hang it up there for tonight. We're back on tomorrow night with Rigger and Laura's Craig. We're just coming on to talk crap, basically for an hour and a half. Something like the same as no, tonight's not been too bad because I did have some questions.
You did.
Yeah, I know. I was quite surprised.
I don't know. So, usually I just come on and ramble a load of bollocks, basically. But tonight, I don't want to make a habit. It's too hard. You're tired after it.
Yeah, but everyone has to see that you're like an intelligent host, like you can,
I don't go that far.
like your podcast on the paranormal is different compared to others, that you put thought into what you're talking about and then theories and things like that,
No, I don't. I don't really.
I was trying to talk up. I was trying to talk up, so if anybody actually.
Oh, sorry, keep going.
I'm trying to talk up, but I mean, they'll see the end of this. Don't worry. If anybody watches this and you see the end of it, yep, the guy right here, thoughts, theories, ideas. This is your man right here. This guy,
but no hair.
But no hair. But we're not really worried about that. That allows for our clearer thinking.
Oh.
Aye, that's a good one, Roy. That's a good. No hair and no ideas. No hair and plenty of ideas. Which I prefer.
Exactly. No hair, but plenty of ideas. Exactly. There you go.
I wouldn't like to have plenty of hair and the ideas.
I think that's a good catchphrase.
Aye, no hair and plenty of ideas.
There you go.
No, some shows I don't have a clue what I'm going to talk about.
Sometimes that's all right. Sometimes casual's all right.
I watched a lot of them. I watched other folk shows, not every them, but you just want to go to your own funeral. Basically watching them.
Sometimes casual is fine. I like casual sometimes because then you can just have a casual chat and bring up casual ideas that might figure something,
That's why when we get new guests and the boss swore. That's swore again. As we get new guests and they'll mail me and they'll say, can you tell me what the topic's going to be, what format you're going to use, what questions you're going to use?
Mm-hmm.
What? That's gone, mate. That's away.
No.
Yeah, just tell them it's free for all.
That's it. I mean, when we first started doing these, we said, and I thought we did with a list of 20 questions. I think I told you this. And but some of our guests were coming on, and it was, have you been an investigation? Say yes. Did you get an activity? No. And that was it. And there was nothing, where did you go? What, who were you with? Blah, 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 nothing. And I think that went for about 4 or 5 shows, and then Sarah and I had a wee discussion. We thought, you know what? I'm going to bin the questions.
Yeah.
I really swore again there. Sorry, choose the French. I know it's Sunday, but I thought, let's bin the questions. Let's just go on and just talk and see what happens.
Yep.
And sometimes we can get off as we talk about cooking. There was one show I was given advice on how to pack your holiday case more conveniently for going away, rolling up your socks and your smalls and stuff. I thought this was a paranormal show. I said, well, you thought wrong there, dear, didn't you? What a surprise there, sunshine. But it's a stakeout with extra coming up. We're doing a paranormal steak. We were meant to be doing it the other week, but we couldn't find. We've got the tripods. They used to probably count as us before. And originally, we got 4 tripods years ago. But see the wee bit that holds your phone? The wee elastically, but we couldn't find any of them. So for the purpose of stakeout, we had to postpone till we got them. So as soon as the weather picks up, we're going to be out doing our paranormal stakeout, which should be good.
Nice.
Watch this space. As with pulling teeth, sometimes, Craig, try to get an answer to somebody. It's just, that mind that I told you that lassie. I was meant to wind it up there, wasn't I? Aye, 2 seconds. But with this young lassie one once, and I was saying this, so how long you been in the paranormal? And she's like that. When did I start the paranormal crime? A year ago. I said, have you been in a lot of investigations? How many investigations have I done, Mum? 3. Did anything happen, Uncle George? Right, you know, and we don't just. I felt like saying, just bring the family in.
Yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of help, you know.
But it's
Sometimes you need a lot of help.
I know, but you're there, Kat, to help them. You know, especially when you reach the top shelf.
Yeah, I'm going to say about help for your hairline, but I don't think there's any help, divine or no, that'll help with that.
No, I've been with this since I was 20, 21 or something, and I'm quite happy with it. You know what I mean? You know now what it feels like to be Graham Norton.
Wait, is Graham Norton bald?
He's talking about
Craig, you've lost me with that one. I used to watch Graham Norton.
I know Graham Norton is, but I'm like, I remember when he had hair, I'm like, is he bald now?
I think it wasn't related to bald stuff. I think it was related to the pulling teeth and
right, aye.
You know how it feels like to be Graham Norton. Aye, some of the guests we were actually talking about a guest, I'm not going to name them, but I think we were telling Laura. All right, his interviews. See, I've not watched Graham Norton in years and years. We had a guest on a couple of years ago, a woman, and she was stoned. I'm talking stoned. She was out her trees, wacky backy, whatever, smoking old happy branches, you know what I'm saying?
Aye, the old
and the old Jamaica. But I will last I could grow hair if I wanted to, but I quite enjoy the sensation of shaving. I will last Sarah found the video, well, last was 17 minutes, and then I faked a camera issue. Because she was on Mars, this lassie. She was I just can't do this. This is falling apart after 15 minutes. I thought,
I that can understand. That's understandable, you know.
It's when you get guests with that and you think, I can't do this even for an hour. And
right.
I thought, right, I'll fake it. So I figured out how to fake a camera issue with streaming it. So I'm sitting there doing it.
So now we know what happens next time. Thanks for
I would never ever do that with you two. You're two of my favourite. You
are in my have sound issues.
Is that what the sound issues
are in my
have been?
favourite people's book. You're in my book of favourite people. I would never fake any issues with you.
Oh wait, we're having a sound issue, and Scott turns away to the missus like, these fucking cheeky bastards keep fucking talking about my hairline.
I don't see. You see, people make jokes about my hair all the time, but as I say to them, I might have no hair, but I've still got my looks. What can I say?
Yeah, but I mean, you've got everyone from here downwards, so I mean, that's still a good.
For there downwards, it's still perfect.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
You light up everybody's life for years.
I never said that I said they were among my favourite people. I never said what order they go in. I said they were among my favourite people, Laura. Calm down there, dear. I know what's what I say because Laura stays 2 minutes away from us. But no, as you see, well, I've got everything for there down.
Yep, that heat of yours just lights up everybody's lives and their eyes.
Wish we could mute Scott. Don't kill me. I'll be seeing you tomorrow, Mr. Dawson. You might be 6'5". You might be 6'5". It just means, I'm going to swear here, it just means it takes your ass longer to hit the ground. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I wouldn't mute Scott. I would just put on shades, you know, when that bald napper shows up.
I'll wear hats. I wear hats when it's sun. But we're going to wrap it up there, folks. I've took enough insults for one night. But I'll keep used to just a wee second after we come off. So big thanks to Kat and Will. You will be seeing them again, and we shall see you. I forgot. He's 2 minutes. They stay in the same house. They're married.
Weird.
Oh, imagine that.
It's weird. He's 2 minutes away.
There we go. Little heart for Laura.
Little heart.
Heart for Laura and Craig. Little heart for Scott. Little heart for Sarah.
Do that again. Sorry, I'll say it in English. I'll just draw one, you know what I mean? Right, we're out of here, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night. We're in the small chat in the chat, and you'll see these two lovely people again. So enjoy the rest of your evening or afternoon, and we shall talk to you later on. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.